Hello class, this is Mr. Schmidt for October 5th environmental science class. This is specifically a recap of the questions regarding the eco-columns and biome lab assignment. So what we're looking at is the different parts of the assignment here. So first of all, I'm looking at the handout, and then we'll talk about some of the instructions and then make sure you have the template ready for the project. I'll also go over some of the questions asked regarding the building and troubleshooting the construction of the project. Okay, so a week ago, I published this on Canvas and asked you to start collecting materials. Now we're on to getting ready to take the data. Okay, so with this, one of the questions that came up is if we have our freshwater system or freshwater biome at the very bottom, then the question becomes, how much water do I add? Okay, so you add water at the very top, it filters down through the desert, through the grasslands, and into the freshwater biome at the very bottom. Now it's important that you hit this little white bit, which for me is the opening of the water bottle. So I had a water bottle in there, okay? And you can see there's a little white ring here, and that little white ring is also on the screen. Okay, so I wanted the water to come up above this so that the grasslands has a chance to funnel it all in, okay, through capillary action. It's going to be able to bring water in as the roots come down. Okay, but what would happen is if we have our freshwater system and we made a cut here, okay, and then we fill the water past that cut point. Well, what's going to happen is the water is going to leak out past the tape and onto your table or onto your carpet, and it's going to make a mess. So as you're going through the filling, which is hopefully what we're doing today, is you go up and you fill up past the mouth of the next bottle, but you do not pass the cut point of the first bottle. Okay, so that's going to give you a range there where you can fill in somewhere between that. After you have done this and you've filled up the water and you let it set for a little bit, then you can come back with a marker and mark where that water line is. Okay, so if you look here real quick at mine, you should be able to see there's a little blue line right there, okay? And that is how much water I now have in it. So now I have a way to track if this water goes up or down, and if I should need to water it. So ideally, I do not add any more water to this for 3 weeks, okay? I filled up the water the other night. It's still there. The cap is on. I leave this cap on. No more water for the next 3 weeks. You can see there's already some moisture and condensation even on the desert layer. So there's plenty of water there to last in a while. Okay, so let's come back and look at the assignment though. Okay, all right, so yes, the water level is kept up. Let me come up to the very top here. Okay, so let's back up at the beginning in case you have questions. Okay, so this is what we're trying to get to look like. They did a much better job than I did. Okay, the seeds was an issue. Ideally, we'd all be in a class and I'd have given you some seeds. However, we're in this environment. You have to find your own seeds. And at this point, I said any of the 3 kinds of seeds. Okay, so dried beans work really good. Peas and sunflowers were recommended by the garden center. I'll even take grass seeds or clover seeds or moss, whatever seeds. Someone suggested quinoa, which apparently, as long as it's not been baked at all or cooked, it's supposed to germinate as well. Okay, chai seeds is also a question. Yes, pansies or daisies, all good seeds. So yes, any 3 kinds of seeds, and you're going to need 3 of each. So a total of 9 total seeds. Okay, so you get your seeds, and you get your bottles. So like I said, I got mine. This is straight out of the recycling. It's not the biggest ones that exist in the world, but they are absolutely free. And you know, it's always best to reuse and recycle materials rather than buying something new. Okay. I will say I saw the 1 gallon water bottles at Fred Meyer's for 89 cents yesterday. So you could use those if you don't have any water bottles at all in your house. But any 3 bottles that are the same size that you can cut will work. Okay, so these are the seeds I picked. Excited we could use any of them. I also grabbed a couple of rocks, or you could use a couple pieces of wood here, and we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, and then I needed something to cut with and some tape, and then I made my cuts. So let's go through that a little bit on my video here. Okay, so when we're making our cuts, we have 3 bottles. 1 bottle got cut here. The next 2 bottles were cut here. Okay, and then while I'm here, let me show you about the rock. So the problem is if I cut this and I put dirt in, some of the dirt's just going to fall out here. So I need something right here to hold the dirt. So if I put a piece of bark or a rock, then the dirt could fill up to here and it will not fall out. Okay. If we put this on here, then we can't get the water up. So we don't want to do that. We want this to stay open so water can go up, but dirt stays in. Okay. So if we're coming back to our screen here, so I've made our cuts. Okay. And like you see on my list here, we have rock, soil, and seeds on the desert layer, rock, soil, and seeds on the grassland layer. And then we just need a little bit of soil and our seeds on the aquatic layer, okay, and our fresh water layer. Okay, you'll also notice the very top one, I did make a little extra cut to make it all to fit snugly together, okay, because I wanted the water to come into each one and not leak. And the way you do that is you make sure for each layer, you make sure the next one fits inside of it, not outside of it. So this can leak, but this will push the water back in towards the center. Okay, so this was my net result, day 1. Okay, so hopefully yours is starting to look like that for your first day. Okay, as you can see, the close-up day 1 of the freshwater and the grassland and the desert. So the desert, the moss is looking very good. You can see here the grassland, there's nothing is grown yet. Okay, and the freshwater is still pretty muddy. Okay, so now if we come back and look at mine, okay, we now have the freshwater is a little bit clearer. Okay, and I don't know if you can see it on this camera, but on the pictures I loaded, there's actually 2 seeds starting to sprout here. One's really tiny. I don't think you can pick that up. And then one's the great big bean plant. Okay, and that I can show you is actually easier to see on my screen share here. Okay, so that was this right here. So this is day 5 for me. One of the beans has started to sprout. Okay, and I know it's a bean because beans sprout very different from other seeds. So this is how I was able to track which ones were beans and which ones were not. Okay, so now that I have it built, I can now think about how am I going to do my observations. And I made a template for you here. And it has it for all the days we need to do now between October 26th. Okay, so your assignment for today is to fill out this first page and to send me a link. So hopefully yours is going to look something like this. Okay, this is my observations from yesterday. Okay, so the top layer, the desert, nothing grew, so 0 centimeters. About half of it was moss, so I said 50% moss. And what's weird about this? Well, weird is that even though it's a desert layer, I'm still getting water stuck to the plastic on the sides. So I still have all these little droplets up here, which I did not expect to see in the desert layer. Okay, I do see more droplets in the next layer on the grasslands though. Okay, but the big thing with the grasslands, more importantly, is that a bean has sprouted. Okay, again, about 50% of the dirt is covered with moss, and about 5% of the dirt is covered with the bean sprout. Okay, and the bean sprout, when I first measured it, came in at about 1/2 centimeter. So you can keep growing it and measuring it as we go. Okay, in the aquatic layer, the freshwater layer, none of the plants are growing. The moss is only 25% covering the surface area. And interestingly, one moss plant is floating, and my second half of the moss plant, or the second plant, is sinking. Okay, so this page right here is what you should send me, or your version of it is what you should send me tonight. So the question was, how do I do that? Well, first of all, you're going to go through and you're going to share. Okay, you're going to type my name in up here, click done. Okay, and then you're going to, you can email it to me if you want. All right, and then you're going to copy the link and you're going to come into the assignment. Okay, you're going to click on your assignment there, and then you're going to paste in the link. Okay, I have the teacher view, so I don't have a place to turn in assignments, but that's where you're going to turn in the assignment. Okay, and that way I can see what you've done and make any notes off to the side here. Okay, so other thing, before you are able to put it in, remember you have to make a copy. Okay, so make a copy of it. You're not allowed to write on the master document. You have to make your own copy so that you can then put information in and share it with me. Okay, so let's come back out of here. All right, so once again, we're gonna have 3 layers. Top layer, desert, okay, where we have rocks go in, or sticks, anything, something to stop the soil goes in the bottom. Then we're gonna put in dirt and soil, and then you're gonna put in your seeds, okay? Next layer looks very similar. You put your rocks or your sticks in, put your dirt in, and you put in the exact same kind of seeds, so that we have 2 sets of the same seeds in slightly different biomes. And then on the bottom layer, you're going to have, again, a little soil in your seeds, and then you're going to fill it up, not quite to the cut line, with water. Okay? All right, so hopefully that helps. And if not, I'll see you Wednesday with all your questions. Have a good day.